Story 1. Old-timer story from New York I once heard. In a particular setting in New York, women were asked to wear a certain color flower either on their dress or wrist, not from style, just something subtle. If you wore a white rose or any flower, it means you were single. If no rose or a red rose, it means you're taken. I always thought something like this could be adopted, not necessarily flowers, but a type of jewelry or something along those lines. This way, guys know not only are you single, but you're trying to mingle and take it from there. Story 2. To be honest, it's very rare that I do. The stars and planets have to align just right before I make a move. Some of it probably comes from a lack of confidence. Also, being an introvert doesn't help. More importantly, financial circumstances play a big role. So even if I had the confidence of 1,000 men, I wouldn't approach if I don't feel like I can financially sustain a romantic endeavor. One more thing I want to add. I have lots of female friends, as I work at a hospital. With that being said, I keep hearing horror stories from my female coworkers about men trying to hit on them at a bar or other places, which has left a sour taste in my mouth about approaching ladies. It's like I don't want to be just another creepy guy horror story. Story 3. I usually never do it because I'm thinking that person is there to enjoy herself, not to get approached by some random person. Especially if she's not alone, which is probably why I'm single, actually. Story 4. Most of the time, it is just fear of being rejected and the humiliation after that, or the fear of looking stupid and finding nothing to say. This is the sad truth. Story 5. 3 things need to be present for me to be likely to cold approach a woman at a club. 1. She needs to be generally alone. Her friends can be there, but maybe they're on the dance floor and she's at a table. I'm not approaching when she's got 8 friends hanging around that are going to feel the need to protect her. She needs to have given me some indication that she wants me to approach. We'll have needed to connect eyes a couple of times, get a smile from her, etc. I need a few drinks in me. If I'm completely hammered, then maybe 1 and 2 don't matter so much. But generally, all 3 need to be present. Story 6. How do you assess the situation before actually going for it? What makes you abort the mission? I perform an ocular pat-down to assess the situation. If I determine that she is not a security risk, then I clear her for passage. Story 7. Anytime I try to approach a woman in a bar nowadays, one of my friends shakes his head in disgust, puts his arm in front of me to block me and says, "Not cool, brother." So I always just back off and hope that a woman approaches me. Story 8. Does she look like she would like to talk to someone? If she does not, abort mission. Does she look drunk, as in wasted? If she is, abort mission. Do I have the courage to go over there and start a conversation? If I do not gain some, can I gain it in a few seconds without having to drink a shot? If I cannot, abort mission. Story 9. Honestly, eye contact and a slight but noticeable smile are very good indicators that you are okay to approach, though the social context is much harder to explain. Imagine you are at a bar with a friend and you notice a guy that sparks your interest. Some eye contact and smiles later, he heads over and asks if he can offer you a drink or chat or whatever. What would you respond? I think that most would refuse or not be as open due to the presence of the friend. Not wanting to leave a friend is normal. We, as guys, equate all that with plus you being 2, the bigger the group, the worse. We feel intimidated by the sheer presence of others witnessing our risk-taking first move. We fear being shut down in front of everyone because, remember, for as much as we've sparked your attention and you want to meet us, we can never have 100% guarantee that that is what you were thinking. That's a part of it. I can explain my point of view further if you'd like. Story 10. I am an introvert. It sometimes becomes very tiring and kind of awkward for me. But probably her being in a group or with someone, why would she want a boring person like me? Laughing my ass off. Story 11. See if she is with a group. If she isn't, I'd probably ask who she is there with while making small talk in the bar or outside if she smokes. I might even ask for a cigarette. Basically, approach as the situation sees fit. Eventually, ask if she wants to come drink with my friends and me or play beer pong, something like that. If she is with a group, that's going to need a few more assessments. Is it a mixed group or boys/girls only? Mixed. Are they flirting with her or seem disrespectful? Yes, abort. No, next assessment. Boys. Are they flirting with her or seem disrespectful? Yes, abort. No, next assessment. Girls. Are they flirting with her or seem disrespectful? Yes, abort. No, next assessment. Does it look like she is together or exclusive with someone from the group? Yes, abort. No, next assessment. Do I know someone in the group or does someone from my group know someone from their group? If yes, talk to them and see if I can get an introduction or otherwise start a conversation with her and her group. If no, then approach her with small talk, if we're both ordering a drink at the same time or something similar. Also, back to step 1. Story 12. I give her an ocular pat down and I clear her. It's an ocular assessment of the situation where I determine her security risk and I cleared her for approaching. Story 13. If I see someone I think is attractive, then nothing is going to make me abandon the mission. I don't really think about it too much. I see someone I find appealing, I just start talking to them. It doesn't have to be about anything, it doesn't have to go anywhere. Maybe we just chat for a minute, maybe we talk for an hour, maybe we have breakfast the next day. It doesn't bother me. Enter without a plan and without an endgame and you can't be disappointed. Story 14. Been out of the game for quite some time, but I never did that kind of thing anyway. In my experience, physical appearance is a poor predictor of compatibility, and physical appearance is literally the only thing I can determine in a situation like that. I think that every woman I ever approached romantically, I had already met under other circumstances, be it professional or school or club or whatever. I certainly knew their names and they knew mine before I ever tried an approach. Because of this, there is no need for an abort tactic. By the time I decided to make a move, either she would move first or I would be fairly sure of a positive reaction, or we would know each other enough that a rejection would be a cordial thing with no further consequences. Story 15. Shall we turn this around? What do you think a guy would consider as indicators that the mission is a go? What do you think a guy would consider as indicators that the mission should be aborted? Story 16. I'm happily married and don't fool around. However, my wife doesn't like the bar scene and very rarely goes, and to be frank, I enjoy the company of women. So, if I see someone who looks like she doesn't have anyone to talk to at the moment, I'll usually just say hi. If there's a leave me alone vibe, I'll just wish them a pleasant time and walk away. If there's not, I'll try to mention in the conversation that I just like meeting people and talking. The interesting thing I've found is often really attractive women get passed over a lot by men who think they're so good looking, they wouldn't want to talk to me. I've had some really fun conversations this way, and there are a couple of women that I meet up with semi-regularly. One has become a best friend. Funny story. I was chatting with 4 women in a bar for quite a while. Eventually, the group split up and I wandered off. A friend, who was kind of a lounge lizard, came over to me and said, "How do you do it?" I said, "Do what?" He said, "I tried talking to them and they blew me off." And I said, "It's simple. I don't want anything from them. To all you single guys, put what you are not so secretly hoping for completely out of your mind and just try talking to women like you would, a human. They're actually quite nice to talk to, and if you're not consciously or unconsciously putting the moves on them, you'll find that they are receptive to talking and getting to know you. And if they're not interested in talking to you, move on. It's no big deal." Story 17. I just wait a bit to see if she is with another man. I will not go over to her if the group I am with wants to leave before I find the time to go talk to her. Or I just do not feel like actually going over to where she is because she is not that attractive that I want to go out of my way. Story 18. I'm always really attracted to women who are genuinely empathetic and want to listen and care about you and have the capacity for kindness. I think that is probably the most important thing for me and is paramount and beats everything else, such as looks or money. A red flag is when they're very passive-aggressive or they just say things that try to make you feel guilty, hurt, or regretful. Especially when it's unprovoked or you've hardly said anything. That tells me they've probably been hurt or wounded by a bad relationship, either with their partner or their family, and they don't know how to handle relationships or social situations. Story 19. I usually just don't bother, to be honest. Usually, if I have success on a night out in that sense, it's because we've been talking in the line or there's been some dance floor work going on and so on. Story 20. I'm gay. When I go to gay bars, I'm usually on hunting mode, and guys there are supposed to be gay and on the hunt, so I approach and try my luck. Any rejection makes me abort the mission. In any other setting, I hang out close and look. There is a particular look gay guys exchange when they notice someone noticing them and think he's attractive. If I don't get it, I abort the mission. If I get any sign of hostility, I abort the mission. If I get any evidence that the guy is actually straight, I abort the mission. Story 21. It's 2019. I assume everyone is doing online dating, and there is no need to approach a random stranger. Also, I assume anyone remotely attractive could easily find a significant other via online dating. Thus, there is even less of a reason to approach a random stranger. Story 22. Well, first I tense my trapezius muscles and broaden my horizontal profile to maximize my social standing in the group. I then loudly order a martini, shaken, not stirred. This demonstrates that I am a man of some cultivation and likely very wealthy. If I happen to have donned my samurai sword that day, just kidding, I never leave my basement without it. I will then proceed to demonstrate my prowess by opening a magnum of champagne in a single smooth motion. After this, they are like putty in my hands. The whole group is bewitched by the display of tempered steel and masculinity. I then take 4, perhaps 5, home with me to experience the full range of my desires. Story 23. I am a really confident guy when sober. Add alcohol to the mixture, and it doesn't matter who is in front of me. I will talk to them. I have been doing this for some years now, and what I realized is that even though not all of them were into me, and I got rejected, which didn't really bother me, I went to the other one. I came to the conclusion that it's a waste of energy on my part, and why should I be your confidence boost just by approaching you? So what I am doing right now is hitting the club with the boys and just going with them to the middle of the dance floor to have fun dancing the whole night. As time goes by, we are being picked up by girls one by one. If you can have fun on your own and you don't need to hit on anyone, they will come to you. For the past year, I didn't lift a finger to dance with anyone, and even though someone always came to me. So to respond to your question, I don't do literally anything. I just have fun. When they come to me, I talk to them, joke, dance, normal stuff. Story 24. As a female reading this, it is disheartening. I'm very flattered when a guy approaches, and it shows genuine courage, to be honest. That type of courage warrants, at minimum, a nice, pleasant conversation. Story 25. As someone already said, it's 2019. The landscape has changed. I just assume it's better not to approach women at this point. If we met over a dating site, then she signaled some interest, and that's different. The women I've met in bars approached me. I don't go to clubs, but when out at a bar, I just assume she's there to have a good time with friends. If she's there alone, I assume she's there to drink alone. Story 26. Big group of women who are clearly all together? Abort. I'm not trying to wreck ladies' night or have the bouncers tag me as a creep and kick me out the minute I trip over a chair that wasn't pushed in. Guy being in any way affectionate or handsy. Abort. Even if it's a guy you don't like. I'm not trying to be a hero or worse, get in a fistfight with some jerk who can't take a hint, particularly if he's been drinking. Generally looking like she's not having a good time? Abort. I don't want your first impression of me to be associated with a night that you just weren't feeling it. Oh, and probably the most important one. If you look like you're absolutely out of your mind drunk, abort. I'm not trying to get accused of date rape or build a reputation as a guy who preys on vulnerable drunk women. And ladies, a polite no thanks or sorry, not interested goes a long way. 99% of guys will politely slink away, and the 1% of jerks who don't will get themselves handled by a bouncer. Also, it takes a lot of bravery for most guys to approach women in public places, so we're vulnerable. Please don't emotionally crush us for trying. Story 27. It's 2019. I don't. Your gender made it very clear you want to be left alone at all times. Otherwise, I will end up in a story on Reddit. No thanks. Approach me. Story 28. I've been shut down pretty hard a few times in the past, and now that there's online dating, I just don't think it's worth the risk of having my confidence destroyed by someone who's having a bad day or just thinks it's fine to be mean to strangers, or that all men are the same. At least with online dating, we all know why we're there, and you aren't aware of the people who don't like your profile. I would love being approached by women, though, but that's never happened to me. Even though I do quite well at dating, so I guess I'm not too ugly. The world would be a better place if women took more initiative. Story 29. Stare at her. Imagine a whole scenario where I'm not a low self-esteem person. Realize she is out of my league. Leave the area. Go in my car. Go home. Cry myself to sleep. Rinse and repeat. Story 30. The easiest way to approach is one where you don't do it by walking across the middle of the room toward a group in the most direct, unnatural way possible. In other words, if we're already in close proximity, that makes it easier, with standing right next to me being the easiest. Then all I have to do is turn and say hi. It is also a pretty big pickup rule that you don't approach from behind, so as a woman, if you want to make it easier, side-facing or better. Also, if I can hear what you're talking about, I have a chance to chime into the conversation with an opener. If you're being quiet, then I have to risk interrupting, possibly inappropriately. If you're alone, it's easy because then we're just two single people filling time with each other's attention. If you want to make it even easier for me, break the ice without opening me by maybe bumping into me and saying excuse me. And if you want to make it easiest, make eye contact or smile. So short of actually opening me, the things I look for and the easiest ways to help me open you would be if you got close to me, didn't have your back turned, talked loud enough, had your friends then go to the bathroom, bumped into me and said excuse me and looked me in the eyes. If I don't open after all those opportunities, I'm either kicking myself for being too scared or not interested.